Welcome everyone to Saturday Evening Chats. This is episode 135, and we're going to play the little intro, and then we'll get into our special guest we have tonight.
In a world of uncertainty and turmoil, one man stands alone, along with his faithful sidekick. A man who entertains and educates the masses weekly, 70% of the time. Born out of the dusty plains of Washington State, now from the coastal forests of Oregon. The man, the myth, the man, G23.
So, welcome, Miss Susan, and you want to give us for the people who in the side chat who don't know who you are and what your channel name is, what that is, and how you got into doing YouTube videos.
Sure. First off, thanks for having me on here because pretty sure no one in the side chat is going to know who I am and where I came from. My channel is Worthwhile Fun, also known as Competitive Shooting. And the reason I started the channel was as an over 50 lady. I, as a newer shooter also, dove right into USPSA competitive shooting, and I wanted to get time behind my gun and become more proficient, and just figured that would be a good way to get practice in monthly. And what I had no clue about was how much fun it was going to be. And so I thought other ladies need to know about this. And so I started a channel and started sharing videos showing all my screw ups, and I didn't care. I wanted them to know that was no big deal to get past that and just get out there and have some worthwhile fun.
Absolutely. And I know you are a member of a couple different women-based 2A groups. So you want to kind of talk about those and what you do for those also?
Happy to. The first one that I got involved with was originally called The Well-Armed Woman. And in the past year, it rebranded, and we're now called Armed Women of America. I first got started with them as a new shooter who got my concealed carry, and pretty early on silently fired my husband from helping me with firearms decisions and carry decisions, and started figuring it out for myself. And I found a local chapter of now Armed Women of America and joined as a member. Fast forward a few years, and the leader of the chapter asked me to come on board and help lead the chapter. So now I'm a chapter of the place where I started as a shooter. So pretty cool.
And I know one of the main reasons why I asked you to come on, one is to help promote your channel and get people to find you so they can, find out more about these organizations, but also there's an event coming up Thursday, the 19th?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yes.
So
Wednesday the 19th, yes.
You want to kind of give a little rundown about that and any kind of information people may need if they're near the capital of Missouri?
Sure, yes. Jefferson City on Wednesday the 19th from 10 a.m. to noon. There's going to be the annual rally day at the Capitol. Grassroots groups have been putting this on, I'm not sure how many years, and 2 years ago, a small group of DC Project ladies thought we'd go up and check it out, and we ended up crashing their rally, and I got invited to speak, and so I was the kickoff speaker for the rally. That was not in the plan that day, but so we've been invited back every year since, and it's just a time to hear from legislators who will come and speak to the crowd, and it's time for the crowd to, after the rally portion, to hit the hallways and go speak with their legislators. Um, and so that's basically what it is.
Awesome. Um, and I know we kind of discussed this in the back chat. You guys don't have to be um, in Missouri. You don't have to live in Missouri. If you're Arkansas, somewhere close, it's a little, within a reasonable drive time, you can always show up to help support, because none of those politicians are going to go, hey, this person's not from Missouri.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just about coming and showing up and being as large a mass as you can get on the day of, and hopefully hollering a little bit. I like to chant. I got to lead a chant in front of the Supreme Court of the United States last September, and it kind of gave me a taste for it. So I'm really, really looking forward to hearing that same chant echoing through the building on Wednesday.
That would be awesome. So I'm going to do a real quick rundown of everyone who's out in the side chat. First in was George Washington, Chris from the 740, Tactical Fud, Mr. Michael Hurtneck. That is out there. Alaska 1 Andy. Thoughts of an Old Soldier. Great to see you out there, Lee. New York Outcast. MCK is out there. CB, another fellow Oregonian out there. Mr. Mike White, 2A Advocacy. Keith Gregory. Trying to see. Keep scrolling. Tim S. He should be there. I know he's a Missouri boy.
Good deal.
So, now, what got you into firearms?
Well, the first thing, I guess, would have been I got married and we moved out to the country, and he had a job where he was gone a few nights a week. And so had a baby. And so it's thought, I got to protect the home front. And so he had a shotgun for me, and I figured out how to use that. And then later on, I had a Colt Detective Special that I had for in the bedroom, and didn't really think about it much beyond that until concealed carry came along. And then I was like, yeah, I want to do that. And so that's when the whole figuring out what kind of gun was going to work for me and how I was going to carry it. And that's how the whole finding out about Armed Women of America came about. So I was a late to firearms lady, you could say.
I don't see if any point, any problem with being kind of like a late bloomer, or whatever.
No, start where you're at.
Yeah, enjoying and embracing your constitutional rights, and it doesn't matter if you're 15 or if you're 95, being able to embrace them and understand, not everybody is going to like firearms, and that's fine, but don't be like, hey, just because I don't like them, no one else should be able to have them,
Right. And something I've run into with women is a lot of times they don't have that deeply held self-preservation mindset. You know, I had a lady once tell me, "Oh, I'd never carry a gun. I figure if it's my time, it's my time." And I'm of the mindset, and my husband tells me the story of when we were first dating. He was giving me friendly uh, advice about how if someone tried to, you know, snatch me, you know, to not let them get me in the car or whatever. And well, you don't know me, but at the time I was barely 100 pounds and I'm not real tall. And, you know, so I look like easy pickings big time, especially now that I'm older, but whatever. But I told him at the time, I said, oh, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die right here, and I'm going to make a big show of it. And you know, it was like I was going to fight, and I think that's kind of why he kept taking me out, because that really made an impression with him. But you know, it won't be because I don't fight, and I just don't understand the ladies that just think, whatever, you know, I'm helpless. It's like, well, you are, because you're thinking that you are. So anyway, sorry, I kind of went off on a thing there, but it irks me when ladies don't think they have it in them. So
Yeah, and you know that also goes for, you know, guys too, you know, because there are some people that are just like, I'd, you know, rather just give up everything I have than to, you know, fight back in any way. It's like, why would you want to make yourself such an easy victim? And you know, I know you don't really know where my background comes from, but when I was a teenager, I was a very well-known gang member. I was not the most friendliest of people, and I've turned my life around and got my rights restored. Long, hard fight. Um, and so I try to advocate that people don't realize just walking down the street, you're not going to be able to tell a good guy from a bad guy just by looking at them for the most part, because you're not, you know. And so if you're not prepared and you look like you're an easy target, that's the guy that, you know, that's the person any criminal is going to go after. It doesn't matter if they're a male or a female, they're going to go after who looks to be the easiest target.
absolutely. And I
So,
always remind my ladies, a lot of times whenever they talk bad guy, I'll grin and I'll say, or bad girl, you know, because bad's bad, you know, it doesn't discriminate gender wise. So, you know, you got to keep eyes on everybody.
oh, absolutely. And, you know, with the media sensationalizing everything that they're doing, maybe more people are realizing that it's not only guys that are going to be out there, you know, perpetrating these criminal activities. You
Right.
know,
And they're not solo acts either, they run in packs. And I did
yep.
listen to your interview with Brooke, by the way. So I was up to speed on your background. And
Oh,
kudos to you for, you know, striving for a better life. So
yep. New York Outcast is. I bet he was in the Oregon Shorts Only gang. uh, no.
that must, that must be an inside joke.
I reside in Oregon now, and probably 99.9% of the time I'm going to be wearing shorts.
Gotcha.
I I don't think I've worn a pair of pants in, I don't know, close to 7 years.
Now, are they tactical shorts or just your generic, you know, gray man shorts?
Uh, just regular shorts, you know, that you can wear a belt with. Um, You know, a lot of them are like golf shorts or, you know, basketball shorts, stuff like that, where you can wear a core essential belt so that you can still carry your firearm, you know?
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's funny how many people don't really pay attention, because I prefer open carry, but like, I don't know if there's, I'd probably say 90% of the time people don't even notice that I have a firearm on me,
Even open carry.
even open
That's
carrying.
good.
You know, and so there's people that are out there saying, oh, if you open carry, you're going to be the first, you know, target because, you know, everyone knows you have a gun. You know, honestly, most people aren't really paying attention because they're too stuck in their own cell phone anymore. You know, 20 years ago, that probably could have been a fair point. But now, probably 90% of all people are on their phone, you know, paying attention to their phone, which is horrible because you're not situationally aware of what's going on, you know?
Right. That's exactly what's going to make you a target. You know, you got to have your head up. You got to make eye contact. You know, yeah. I like to conceal, and I like to do it really well because, like I said, with my stature, my size, and everything, you know, no one would have a clue, you know, what I've got at my disposal if should I need it, and I just get a kick out of that. And but then I walk, you know, like, you know, I'm watching and I'm knowing, and you know, so hopefully that keeps them from finding out. But yeah, I like to conceal and do it well. It's a challenge, and I like it.
So I know you said your first firearm was a shotgun. Um,
Yeah, don't even ask me what it was. I have no idea. I knew
would
how to make it go bang. That's all I needed to know.
would you say that that would be a good first firearm for most women out there, or would you think something else would be better?
Well, first it would depend on what they were wanting one for. You know, if they were wanting to begin with just the experience of shooting, then no, I'd go with a, you know, a 22 pistol or a 22 rifle, you know, something to get them used to the, you know, you don't want them flinching every time they pull the trigger right off the bat. You know, start them in easy, let them get used to how guns operate, and you know, then branch out from there. But my situation was, I'm out in the country, you know, I need to have something at my disposal, and that's what he had, so we made it work. But fortunately I didn't have to shoot it very much except when I was making sure I knew how to operate it. So but no,
Absolutely.
the first gun I got, that I was the one who picked it. Even my cult detective was like, brought home, here, honey, I got this for you, you know? And I got tired of that pretty quick when, you know, I couldn't ever pull the hammer back or pull a, you know, heavy trigger. And so the first one that I picked and liked was my Sig P238. You know, the slide was like butter, and it just worked for me, and I carried that for quite a while till I wanted to go up in caliber and capacity. And now I'm, if you can see my tiny thumbnail there, I'm very happy with my P365 that I've had since they first came out. I was one of the first ones in Springfield to get one because I was on a waiting list. So very happy with it.
And are you running the stock grip, or did you change out your grip to like the small frame grip?
Mine was one of the early ones, so it's that first standard grip, and I'm still using it because the early ones have, I found out when both my sons ended up getting one. They followed mom's footsteps, and the a few months later, it was a much rougher texture on the grip. So mine, the early one, it's not that rough, so it doesn't bother me against the skin all day. So I haven't changed it. The only thing I changed was the trigger. I put in a flat Armory Craft trigger, just because I'm friends with them, and I like his stuff, and I put one in my X5 Legion that I shoot competition with. But I do have another module, an XL size module that a company, FDES, made for me. It's teal and has DC Project logo and some of our hashtag slogans on it, that I custom designed and he created for me. So when I want my gun to play dress up for photos and promotion of DC Project, I'll put that grip module on it.
That sounds like an awesome grip module. So we've had some more people jump in. CNT Designs and Arms is out there. New York Outcast, Burnaby Sanchez, Phantom of Anarchy. I know there's more out there. AR Gun 1776 is out there. These guys are running away with the chat out in the side.
Yeah, I just caught a question asking if my 365 was 9mm or 380. It was 9mm. 380 didn't come along as an option till 2 or 3 years later, maybe. I don't know. So yeah, it's a 9mm.
So we've got gun websites out there. Christian Grest is out there. He's a great channel also. So looks like we're kind of caught up with everybody who's out there. So have you thought about getting any of the exchange kits that Sig offers for like running 40 cal or 357 Sig or 380?
No. I mean, I've heard you guys talking about 9mm a lot, so you're probably all rolling your eyes or whatever. But for now, I'm happy with my 9.
Hey, you know, I tell everyone I'm not willing to stand downrange of a 22 or even a BB gun. You know, so I'm not going to stand downrange of a 9mm. They all work. I prefer 40, and I love the thump that you get from it. I think it's a very capable round. You know, so I know there are some calibers that just, you know, some people just can't handle. Be it dexterity in their hands or arms. You know, if you've got injuries from other things, sometimes recoil will just make things uncomfortable, and if it's too uncomfortable, you're not going to do it.
Right. Yeah. I am one of those people. There are certain 9mm guns that kill me. Well, for instance, I had the 238 and 380 for years. So when I wanted to go up, I just assumed I'd automatically love the 938. I tried out a friend's, and to date, that is the gun that has hurt my wrist more than any I've shot. And the little Glocks, the 42 and the 43, both killed my wrists. I've got bad physical arms, and I'm a weakling, and so, you know, I do have issues, and so, you know, I haven't tried a 40, and so there may be reasons a 40 or 45 wouldn't work for me that I've never tried yet. But yeah, even some 9s kill me. Well, the little Glock 380 hurt me. So yeah, I am one of those weaklings.
So Her channel is worthwhile fun. We've dropped the link out in the side chat, but there's also a link in the description to her channel. So yeah, there's multiple ways of finding it, and we'll keep throwing it out there as the show goes on for people. And again, April 19th, 10 a.m. is a rally at the state capitol in Missouri, and anyone close by, we would love to see you there. Um, I would love to be there, and I still trying to goat the wife into moving to Missouri. Um, she's over here yelling, "No, we're not." But
Oh, come on.
I know, right? I mean, you can get a nice chunk of land for not a horrible amount of for not a horrible amount of money.
You can
So
get all
still,
sorts of guns. You can get all sorts of sizes of magazine capacity.
right?
The world is your oyster, or
And
however
it's
that saying goes.
and it's constitutional carry.
Yep.
The wife's like, it is now, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be that way next year. Well,
Oh, well, but we haven't got into the other thing I'm into, and I'm working on ensuring and making sure that it stays good stuff. Only good stuff for Missouri.
yeah. So you want to kind of discuss some of your future endeavors?
Well, yeah, just because the people going to the channel may be going, where's all the shooting? Because it kind of went from a shooting channel to a 2A testimony channel. Because through Armed Women of America, I learned about the organization DC Project, Women for Gun Rights. And they started in like 2016 or 17, where one woman from every state would go to Washington, D.C., and meet with their state legislators there and be a voice and a face for gun rights, to be a counter to the Moms Demand, who they always see women there opposed to gun rights. So they were going to take that national idea and bring it to the state level. And I came on board about that time. And so I dove right in, started trying to figure out, how you become a Second Amendment advocate in Missouri. And the first reach out to a legislator who had filed a Second Amendment friendly bill, I reached out to him and said, hey, I joined this group, DC Project, we do this, this, this. He invited me to come testify in like 2 days. Well, I had never spoken publicly. So I was scrambling, trying to find someone from DC Project in Missouri. This group had just formed to go up and testify, and I was going to be there cheering them on. Well, of course, I didn't find anybody, and I thought, I've just joined DC Project. I've put the name out there. I can't have it, fail. And so I went up and gave my first public testimony in support of our Second Amendment Preservation Act that eventually passed. This was in early 2020, like a week or two before the whole COVID shutdown thing. And everyone in that room, I guarantee you, assumed that I was there to speak in opposition to it. And I know this because after I testified, and even though it was my first time speaking, I did pretty good at just boldly saying what I wanted to say without fumbling and stuff. And I mean, I turned back around to go sit down, and everyone that had ignored me before was making eye contact with me and smiling and introducing themselves afterwards. And so that just showed me that this country needs women stepping up and speaking for gun rights. As women, we rely on them, and we need to fight to keep them. So that's what got me started. And I started pulling my testimonies where I could find videos that the Capitol Missouri legislature shares, and I'd put them over on on my Worthwhile Fun channel. And so now basically it's become because of 2020 and COVID, ammo price got high and it got scarce. And so I kind of haven't been shooting a lot for fun over the past couple of years. So I've been advocating for the right to do so when I'm ready to get back into it instead.
So I know I watched one of your videos when you were talking about being able to carry on mass transit. It was in response to a couple different people who talked to you, and then the one guy, he just kind of had a look on his face like, wait a minute, did I just like set myself up?
That was the most fun I've had in a hearing room like ever, when that one lady asked me if I rode public transit, and I got to go off on the whole I testify on anti-red flag and I haven't been abused domestically either. I mean, that was a really good night. It was after 10 o'clock at night and I was really tired after being up there, I think 13 hours. I was at the Capitol that day. Started with a 8 o'clock or 8:30 hearing in the Senate, and then closed out with two more bills, late at night. But yeah, they set themselves up and let me have some fun. I'm just sitting here grinning. I'll shut up, but yeah, I'm just still grinning over it.
Yeah, when the guy, he was in that video, he came back at you with another question, because you had also said that you had never been in a domestic violence situation, but yet you testified for them. And, he came back at you with...
Yeah, he thought, aha, I got her.
Yeah, and it's like, he wouldn't agree that, if the situation was bad enough, then it should be a felony charge and not just a misdemeanor charge.
Right.
And it's like, domestic violence, and I'm not going to advocate for it's a, good thing. You can get a domestic violence charge, like if you and your brother or you and your sister get into an argument and a neighbor calls the cops. Somebody could end up, depending on your state, you could end up going to jail and getting a domestic violence situation and lose your rights forever.
Exactly. And they act like we need to disarm these men, because, well, I mean, women could be getting these charges too, I mean, it's just silly, I don't want anyone violent, well, and I didn't do it that night, but I thought about it later. It's like I should have really hounded him, on how ashamed he should be, that he only thinks, domestic abusers, should just get misdemeanors. I mean, if you hit them hard enough back, I mean, I kept saying misdemeanor, but I never like really took it to him, that why is that, I mean, you saw he dodged the question. He did not even want to talk about it, because it's just silly.
So I know we have a question out there from Big Al. He says, I'll be in DC in a couple weeks if health holds out. Need me to talk to anyone?
Well, anyone out there, whether they're going to DC, feet on the ground, or whether they're at home, it's your district representative and your state senators is who you should talk to, on whatever it is that is affecting your state or where you live, or something that would affect something nationally. That's even when we go to DC and make our appointments, a lot of those offices aren't interested in taking the time take those meetings with people that aren't their constituents. So it's all about touching base and making sure your guy and gal knows who you are and what you want. So.
Yeah, and just remember, just because you're in a Pro 2A state, at the national level, they can, especially look at the red flags that they're trying to roll out as a nationwide.
Yep.
And they want to roll it out federally. So, yeah, you may be in a 2A state, but when these federal laws come in and people start misusing them, and it happens, not a lot of people talk about how the fact that they can be easily misused. I mean, I want to say you discussed that kind of in one of your videos, but
yes,
it may not have been you.
Yeah, twice I've, see, like you said, I'm in a Republican supermajority so-called state, but, I guarantee you there are Republicans in that building that would support a red flag. And then with the help of Republicans on the national level, that's now all that money is coming to the states, to try and tempt them to go ahead and do it. That's why we had legislators filing the anti-red flag bill to try and get in front of it and stop it, and saying, don't even think about it. Missouri isn't going to touch that money for those purposes. So yeah, it doesn't matter your state, someone's going to be working to mess it up. You can't rest.
Yep. And there's a lot of like backhanded things that they do also, where they rush bills to the floor for votes, and you don't have enough time, to read the entire 600 pages. You're told about it 12 hours and you got to read 600 pages. There's no way that that's going to happen. And so they can easily, page 400, slip in, anti-2A bills on, and they've tried this before federally, where they've tried putting like red flag laws or other anti-2A laws in like the National Women's Protection.
Right.
Because they play on this. Well, everybody wants to make sure we're protecting, women, or, we're out there trying to protect, minorities, whatever, the it thing is of that time. And so they want to make it, hey, are you really saying that you don't think women should be protected, or you don't think children should be protected, or you don't think, whatever should be protected? And that's how they sometimes, try screwing people over.
Yeah, it's a constant battle to be on top of the narrative. And I like being on offense. I don't like always trying to defend myself. I always say I'm unapologetic for where I stand on it, and that I'm there speaking not just for me, but for the women, that I get home and I get the private messages, thanking me for speaking, when they can't, for whatever the reasons their situations are in. I take that seriously. And those ladies think matter a whole lot more to me than anybody I face on those hearings or media or whatever. So I'm just unapologetic, and I'll take it to whoever, whenever, if it's gonna help my ladies in this state.
Yeah, and when you're out there testifying, you're testifying for all the women, but also you're testifying for the men at the same time.
Absolutely. Yes.
Because these bills have no sex on them. If it's going to strip the right of 2A, it's going to strip the right of 2A from everyone. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, Asian, Hispanic. It doesn't matter if you're male, female, LGBTQ.
Democrat, Republican, Second Amendment, yes, for everybody.
Yeah. And so, we all need to be out there doing as much as we can. And I know we've got Big Al who says, I think voting Block 2A would be appropriate. Signatures of members and candidates that promise to support 2A and fight anti-2A outside of the NRA, grassroots DC conservatives, and some Dems. We have school shootings because of media coverage. People want their name as killing the most. If ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox would not publish this, it would stop people from trying to be famous. And it's not just school shootings. People want to go down as, I killed the most people, anywhere. And yeah, it's because the media pushes so much. If they never named the person, or if they just said, just gave, here's what happened, and didn't give so much detail and stuff like that, and it kind of just glossed over, and it didn't turn into a 3-week project where they're going to talk about this every newscast, there'd probably be a lot less things going on. We still have a lot of mental health issues in the U.S. that people don't want to talk about.
Sorry, driveway alarm.
And, we have, like Hold My Guns, Sarah Albrook, that does the Hold My Guns. Great organization. And I think we need to get a lot more FFLs and places like that to get on board.
Yeah, that was one of the, sorry.
Oh, yeah, we need to get them on board so that we have more places in more states that are willing to be, hey, this person's in a crisis. Let us hold these. We don't need to go and red flag them. And then next thing you know, they may or may not get their firearms back, and, something worse happens,
Yeah, I was going to say that was one of the organizations that when we were in DC last September, we were making all the offices aware of, was Hold My Guns and Faster Save Lives and Kids Safe. And, we're firearms owners and we don't want our rights infringed, but hey, we'll even give you some solutions that are known to work, so.
Yeah, and we have Mike Sedini and Jake. I draw a blank on his last name. With Walk the Talk America,
right?
Who is out there, trying to help with educating more and more psychologists and psychiatrists and counselors on 2A. you know, and stuff, you know, because there's a lot of people that are just like, hey, I'm not going to go seek help because I'm either going to lose my job, I'm going to lose my firearms, or whatever. So they don't go and seek the help that they could use.
Right. Yeah, the fear of loss of rights is keeping them from getting help.
Yeah, and there, you know, I mean, it's a huge stigma we have going on. Um, Big Al says, I went to a school where we fought in the student parking lot, that every vehicle was a truck with 2 loaded deer rifles and a truck gun, which was an AK. No one even thought about grabbing a gun.
Yeah, my husband, when he was gonna spend the night on a Friday with one of his friends and go hunting, he would ride the school bus with his rifle, walk all the way through the school to the principal's office and lean it up in the corner, and then do the same thing, after school to go to the friend's house. So, yep.
Yeah, what a different time.
No kidding.
And it's not like it's super long ago. I mean, for some people, you know, until what, like 96, when the Brady Act came in, there was a lot of people still having firearms in school and, on school grounds. Unfortunately, after Combine, that really changed a lot of different people's looks on having firearms at schools.
Yep.
You know, we've got Miss Annie Marie B out in the side chat. So,
And
yeah, she's a newer firearm owner. So, I'm glad she shows up to a lot of these chats and asks a lot of great questions. Because sometimes the longer you are a firearm owner, the more and more you forget about how it was when you first started. And so
well,
you don't think about the stuff that you're like, how can I help the new person?
well, I was going to say, I'm always mindful of it because of my work with Armed Women of America. That's what we do. We're constantly helping women become shooters, new women shooters, and women that want to get better. So yeah, it's kind of always constant in the forefront of my mind because, there's always a lady to help through the process. So I may be a little different than you guys that, get to shoot and have fun and do your own firearms journey, but I'm trying to help ladies, you know, get going through theirs at all sorts of stages. So, which is good, It makes me a better shooter too, because I'm always, fundamentals are always at the forefront of my mind too.
So, if you could give, say, the top 5 pieces of advice to new firearm owner, new female owners, what would it be and why?
Okay, I'm going to assume they're like looking for a firearm to carry, just because. So don't pick a gun because just how it feels in your hand. Don't pick a gun because someone else tells you it's the one for you. Um, you need to fire it. You need to make sure you're with a good, you need to learn proper grip before you even start going and checking them out, because if you have an incorrect grip, you may think you can reach all the controls and manipulate everything correctly, and then when you learn proper grip. Now your thumb may not reach the mag release, and so learn proper grip so that you can show up and handle the guns properly, and hopefully find either friends that have them that you can try out, or hopefully find a range that you can rent the ones that you're considering to rule them in or out. I didn't keep count on that little spiel. Were there 5 in there, or close enough? I don't know.
I think close enough. And Big Al says, sorry, but I've got to go. But I want to tell Susan, thank you so much, and myself. So we say thank you for coming by, and we are always glad to see you, because Big Al is a guy out of Oklahoma, and he does a lot of different videos. And he's an older guy and with a lot of great knowledge, So he sometimes he thinks he doesn't have as much to offer, but I think he's got a lot more to offer than what he leads on sometimes, So what would you tell somebody who says, I'm going to carry in a purse, or I'm going to carry off body?
Well, I'm not going to tell them they absolutely can't, but I'm just going to tell them that I'm not a big fan of it, because you're not going to get into it as quickly. If they're going to do that, there is actually some really good training on how to be able to set up your carry purse and draw from it quickly and reliably. And so I would pretty much insist that they look into that training. It's now available online, and of course I'm going blank on the name, but it's Donna Anthony out of Alaska, DC Project state director out of Alaska, has put that together to be available online. But you can never set your purse down and have it out of your sight, or like I tell the ladies, the soccer moms who have all the kids, and you throw your purse in the back seat, are you really securing your purse if, all the guys in the back seat could get to it before you could? It's just, I don't like it myself. I carry right in front, appendix just off center with in an Enigma by Filster. I've carried in lots of different holsters, and once I got the Enigma, I'm hooked. I get the best concealment. The gun is on me. It's not attached to my clothing, and I just can't say enough about it. So the only purse carry that I do, I have a hip bag that attaches around my waist like a belt, and I used to sew for an upholsterer, so I've got crafty needle skills, and I put a holster in the back, a leather Kydex combo holster, so that it's safe and secure in that back compartment. And that's the only, it would be called off body, but I keep it on my body. So that's the only way I'm comfortable carrying when it's not on my waist.
Yeah, I got my wife one of the purses that it's what's it, Toting Mamas.
Toting Mamas. Yep.
They have some great purses, and other like fanny packs, other carry options. And sometimes, it's like you really want to discourage off body, because it can easily be taken. But also, you have to think about, well, if this is the only way they're going to carry to begin with,
Right.
should we not like encourage and promote how to do it safely?
Right.
And
Yeah. And it's actually through Gun Toting Mamas that training that I was talking about came about. So there's probably links to that through their website even. It might be a better, quicker way to let people find out about it. But yeah, I mean, especially when you're talking ladies and all our varied outfits, that's, I thigh carry. Not so much anymore, but because I wanted, I'll just put it out there. I want Enigma to make an Enigma thigh holster, and then I would be a happy, happy girl. But I loved thigh carry because I carry down the outer thigh, and you can get a good, quick, safe draw that way as well. So it didn't rob me of wearing dresses as much, but yeah, sometimes, it's an individual decision, is wearing this outfit worth not carrying tonight, or do I use this bag? Or, I've had a really nice dress on that I couldn't carry with, and it's like, oh, well, like in DC, although I couldn't carry, but I used the hip bag just because I was going to be doing so much walking. I wanted my hands free, so I'll throw a hip bag on, with a really nice dress, even though that maybe not the handbag you would have chosen, for the look, but you just have to make choices. As my husband sneezed. And then since it's silent, I'm going to go back and there was discussion about women, that I testify for women, and he made a good point that it was also for the men. The reason I focus on women when I testify, and DC Project does, is because for so long, women into firearms and concealed carrying just quietly went about our lives. And in that void, Mom's Demand came along and commandeered our gender and started acting like they spoke for all women, for all moms. And so that's why when we talk, we stress the women for gun rights. And so I just wanted to remember to throw that in there. So I didn't mean to cut in or anything, but I wanted to, while there was a pause, I was going to throw that in there and clarify. Are you there?
oh, I've been talking the whole time with my mic muted.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if it was me. So, well,
No.
good. I got to have my say so then. So now I'll hush and let you repeat yourself.
you know, not everything has to be gender based or identity based, but there's a lot of times where we need to start sometimes, speaking up. And guys speaking, saying, hey, this bill is going to hurt all these women. It's not going to be received the same way as if a female comes out and says, hey, this really hurts us, because we get enough mansplaining going on.
Right. Amen. No, I'm kidding.
And
I mean, I figure if someone's teaching me something, I need to know, I don't care if it's a man or a woman. So, I mean, I'm not really into using the mansplaining thing, as long as you know what you're talking about, I don't care.
Yeah. But, there's times, but for the most part, when you're talking 2A or even just talking your constitutional rights, gender doesn't have to be a part of it. But when you're testifying in front of, your state house, either Senate or, in the House or even federally, breaking it down to gender, like, hey, this bill is really going to hurt us women, or hey, this bill's going to really hurt us guys, and here's the reason why. And if you have a good point, you might win over some people. I'm not going to say you're going to win over people, but you could.
Yeah, and red flags is an excellent example of that, because everyone assumes, oh, they're needed to protect women. No, they're used to disarm women, and I love that I have the case out of New York, that proved it, that, the ex-boyfriend who had a restraining order against him red flagged her and had her rights and her New York pistol permit taken away from her before she even knew it had happened. And then I love that it was a woman that did it. I'm not going to lie about that either, but she hired a lawyer and didn't just get her own rights back. They sued the state, that they went after the law's constitutionality, and they won. And then since then, there's been a second case, that the New York red flag law has been proved unconstitutional. So I love that it was a woman that didn't just fight for her own rights to be restored, but, she did a big favor to everybody in New York, to start laying the groundwork of that fight going forward. So red flags is one of those examples where how they affect women really needs to be highlighted.
Yeah, so we have 223 DMR who's jumped in, and he's another guy from your state of Missouri.
Oh, good deal.
And so, here, 223, is it your DC projects
state director?
State director. And so, she's out here going to the state capitol, going to DC and testifying to help, promote and push forward a better Missouri. So, and I guarantee you she'd probably love to see you on Wednesday at the state capitol.
Yep, we'll be the ladies there in teal. I haven't heard yet if we'll have a table or if we'll have a corner of someone else's table, but I'll have a big vertical DC project banner. Just look for the ladies in teal and come say hi. And then if I get to lead a chant, please participate and holler along with me loudly. I want this to resonate throughout that building.
Yep. Are you going to have channel stickers or anything like that?
I'm going to have rack cards and business cards, none of the fun stuff, just our information, trying to reach the ladies and get more delegates, in the state. The goal for each state is to eventually have at least one lady in every state house and Senate district. And so in Missouri, that's nearly 200 districts. So, I got a ways to go. Don't even like thinking about it, but I figured a day like Rally Day is a good day to try and reach those ladies. So, and this won't hurt. I'll be sharing this around, and really appreciate you having me on if I hadn't said it already. So,
you're very welcome. So, how can women go about finding out more information about DC projects, and maybe if they want to start volunteering or getting involved, how can they go about doing that?
Right. Everyone, any gender, can go to dcproject.info, and there'll be a tab there that says join. And when you click on join, then you can sign up to participate. And in that, you can select either receiving our newsletter, which is what the fellas can do, and they come out quarterly, I believe. Diana Muller will, send out kind of what's been going on nationally and in the States. And or you can select, I like how they worded it. It's like, I'm ready to do more, please contact me. And if the ladies select that email, if you put in a Missouri zip code, that will kick straight to me. If you're in another state, it'll kick straight to that state director, and then we'll follow up contacting you. And as far as participating, it's as much or as little as you want. You'll basically get put in a group out of the public eye, where I will keep you abreast of every opportunity to email or phone or testify, either in person or online, submitting written testimony. I just keep you aware of any and all happenings in Missouri, and the ladies, pick and choose what, they've got time for to participate in. And it's that easy. And if you want to start showing up with me every time there's a hearing up at the Capitol, that'd be great. Until then, I'll try and keep doing it on my own, because I think a lady needs to be there speaking up for gun rights on all of these bills. So.
And on the website, on DC Project's website, they have apparel and swag that you can purchase that helps, fund DC projects, because a lot of these ladies are paying this out of their own pocket. They're not getting
we're volunteers. Volunteers.
They don't have Bloomberg or Soros funding them, saying, "Hey, we'll get you a bus. You fill it up. We'll get you up there." They're not, having somebody like that who helps out a lot for the wrong reasons.
Right. Yeah, you can grab you the teal, the official Educate Not Legislate shirts, or actually, I'll tell you how you could really help me out right now. Apparently, DC Project, they're so pleased with me, with what I'm doing in Missouri. They're always, giving me attagirls. Love what I'm doing, but apparently I'm a really rotten fundraiser. So right now, if you go to the shop on the dcproject.info page, and scroll way down, you'll start seeing different states having fundraisers. You can buy tickets to win things that I'm not sure how much I can talk about on YouTube, so I won't. But if you find the Missouri one, you could really help me out and maybe not look so pathetic in my fundraising capabilities. But or not, or look at all the other states and see if there's something else you'd rather win, and maybe put in the notes that it was me that sent you, so it still might help my rep.
Or if you have the extra couple bucks, you go for both.
There you go. Yeah, I won't judge if you spend with abandon. So.
Because even if you want to go and help Susan out, and even if you don't live in her state, say it's a holster that they're giving away. I don't know what it is. I haven't looked. Sorry.
A holster would hold it.
And maybe you don't like that. Maybe you don't like that brand, or you don't like that caliber, or you don't like whatever. You can always trade it, or you can always just leave it in the gun safe, or you could give it to somebody else. There's, hell, I'm pretty sure you could donate it to Susan for her training. And she'd be like, hey, here's a firearm that, people coming to training can also test. She'd be happy with that, I'm pretty sure. I
Or
could be wrong.
donate it to their state's DC project group. That I would love that if my fundraiser turned around and helped another state's fundraiser. I'd be totally cool with that.
Yep. There's there's always, great ways. And you can just go there and, just donate to your state representative, your state if you have multiple people in there, your district representative, your chapter representative. There's all these different, you can donate to help offset these costs that these ladies incur to go and testify, both locally at the state level and on average. What would you say is a trip to DC?
Oh, to DC, I have no idea. I was ready to answer about my trips to Jeff City, but because I just turned, got my receipt out of the car. But DC, I have no idea. That's above my pay grade. I can't even imagine the headaches getting that all scheduled for all the ladies. And yeah, logistical nightmare comes to mind.
Like, if you go to DC to testify, you're probably talking, on average, let's say $1,000 for travel, hotel expense. You're not even talking what it's going to cost for food. And this is everything that they're paying out of their pocket, because they're paying for either a plane ticket or they're got to pay for gas, oil changes, wear and tear on their vehicle, new tires. All these things happen. And this is stuff that they are coming out of pocket to pay for, and
yeah, and technically that's why each state fundraises. We work our tails off. Well, others do it well, and I'm not so well, but we work our tails off so that the DC project can cover as much of the annual DC trip as possible. But the larger DC project is now at a moment's notice, we have ladies, that get invited to testify before hearings. So, then you've got the quick turnarounds of, 2 days notice of getting ladies across the, country to testify on specific bills. And, so the more notoriety that DC project gets, the more asks that we're getting, and so we're showing up more places. And even on the state level, if I want to branch out and try and go reach more people, to join and become delegates, that's more gas, more having to stay overnight, because I can only do so much in a day. I need some sleep before I head back home. And it just, the more you try and grow, the more dollars it's going to take to help make that happen. So.
$223 DMR says Rob, who is New York Outcast, could give a G23 away. LOL. And Foss was like, G23 is a big boy. The shipping would be outrageous. Yes. If the shipping cost on weight alone, wow, that would probably set you back a couple dollars.
I mean, would that fall under human trafficking? I don't know if I want DC project getting
right?
Too deep in that. So maybe take that conversation offline, and
yep.
I'll pretend I didn't see it.
Yeah, no, that would There was something else I was going to ask you.
Well, I might answer you.
um,
Appreciate
so,
those links I see showing up, by the way.
oh yes, I know we got a lot of
A
Foss
lot
is
of help,
dropping. Foss is
a
dropping
lot of
them, and so
helpers.
is DJ Play Nice. He DJ promotes uh, DC in a lot of different chats. A lot of different chats.
Yeah,
Also,
I've
he
seen it.
promotes the suicide awareness information. Always good information to throw out there. Um, let's if you could, with the stroke of a pen or magic wand, whatever you want to call it, do away with any anti two-way bill, what would it be and why? It
You
doesn't
mean
have to be
my
state level. It could be state or federal.
okay? Well, since it's, I guess, the first thing that came to mind before you even finished the sentence, and I guess I wouldn't mind it federally, but I was thinking state was gun-free zones. Um, let's just get rid of them. Um, you're disarming women, anytime they have to visit a gun-free zone. So that's kind of that was the goal I set for myself this year, was to, hammer that point home anywhere and everywhere I had the opportunity. So, and it was pretty cool because um, last night Diana Muller texted me, and they did the march from the NRA convention site to the Indiana state capitol, right? And had a press conference, and I hadn't seen any coverage of it or anything. And she texted me, and it was this really short video, and they were actually doing my gun-free zones have got to go chant like I did in front of SCOTUS. And so I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. I wasn't there, but my message was being hollered by the ladies in teal, and that made me feel pretty good.
I completely agree with you. Um, the only thing gun-free zones do is turn law-abiding citizens into fish in a barrel.
Vulnerable victims.
Yep. Uh, I'm horrible with names, but I think she's still for Texas. Who talks about her story where she went to lunch with her parents, and a guy,
Uh, yeah, I don't remember the name. I know the story. Yeah, yeah,
drove in to the building or came into the building with a firearm and started shooting, and she reached for her purse to get her gun and remembered, oh yeah, it's a gun-free zone. I left my in the car, so she couldn't um, protect
yep,
herself or her family.
yep. She was being a good law-abiding citizen and lost her dad and her mom. Didn't the mom go back in and she lost them both?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Uh, her mom saw her dad like laying there, and she ran back in. I believe,
yeah, I believe so.
and guys, there's a lot of the great stories. Not, I guess we should define how hearing them has great impact, but the fact that they had to live through these situations is a horrible situation. Um, there's some of them that we'll discuss how they were raped, brutally beaten, and that's how they got into 2A.
Yep,
Um, and
yep,
so, I would never wish that on anyone. I don't, never.
yep. And that's exactly why I always saying I am unapologetic in my defense of my rights, because ladies have been through horrible things and they're standing up, instead of keeping to themselves and dealing with it, they're standing up and trying to help ladies now and in the future. And so I'm going to do my part to help them as well, unapologetically.
So, if you could talk with any person, like in politics, and change their mind on how they look at firearms, who do you think you would have a good chance to really maybe be impactful with?
Well, first you're going to need to define the parameters within which I get to attempt to change their mind. Do I get to smack them around a little bit, or do I have to use words? No, I'm sorry. That's just where my mind went.
Right.
I have no idea. You have to know a person to, first, I think, to really know where they're at, especially on the political level, because, they have this forward-facing public image, and that could be genuine or it could be a total facade. So I don't even know how to answer that. I don't know. Who would you pick? Give me an example of how this works. Who would you pick? Oh, she turned the tables on him.
We have probably one of the most anti 2A people that come out of this state. They go and try to represent us, and I think talking with Jeff Merkley, if I could sit down one-on-one with him over a meal and just lay out, and talk with him and explain like how I come from it and what my background is, maybe him hearing some of the things that I've done would help him understand that you cannot legislate evil out of the heart and mind of people.
Nope. And I think another reason I'm having a hard time even trying to even get anyone in mind is because when it comes to the politicians, they have their party agenda. It's not even about what they truly believe. They have this party line, that they, focus on. Individuals, without the politics in it, yes, we can change hearts and minds, with those one-on-one conversations. But I'm just not sure how much politicians are open to, freely, totally flipping and changing their thought process if their party, is then gonna, pound on them for doing so. If their votes start reflecting that heart change.
I mean, if we look at like,
sorry.
If we look at like Manchin, I've always wondered, is he truly a Democrat? Because that's what his party, right? He registers his party at, but there's a lot of times where he'll vote with protecting liberty, but then there's other times where he votes to go against it. So there are people, I think, that are still on the fence. that may be able to be persuaded. Maybe not everyone, because I know, like, if you were to try saying, okay, I'm going to sit down with Dianne Feinstein and changing her mind on anything, it might be like trying to pull a tooth out of a pit bull. Not going to be too well received,
Well, and some of the hardcore ones are, I don't want to make fun of age or anything, but they might not even be totally with it anymore. Sometimes I wonder, a lot of them, what their ability to think even is anymore.
Mr. Hobby's Hobo says, make a politician follow you around for a day. Most of them wouldn't get out of a car in places I've lived. Yeah.
Oh, sure they would. They'd have their security detail. They'll be all right.
Yeah, but if they didn't have security detail for a day, if they had to actually be, a normal person, and you have to, hey, you got to follow all those same laws that I do without your security detail, but you're going to go everywhere I go. I think there might be some people that might change their mind on certain things. Could be wrong. They could double down on them. So that could be a double-edged sword. I don't know. And I don't know if we have to really completely change anyone's mind, but giving them enough facts and everything, and being polite. I mean, getting into an argument with somebody, you never realize how many people are hearing you that aren't right there. And so you could end up changing somebody else's mind and hardening their issue. Like somebody you may have been able to win over is now going, well, look at the way they're acting.
Right. Yeah, I don't engage in that. I'll, like during testimonies, I'll answer the questions but I don't get confrontational. I don't do that online. It's like, it's just not worth it. I like to be the one smiling and joking, but then I'll get serious and go into my unapologetic rant and back it up with facts. And, as far as the change in minds and everything, Heller and Bruin, there's no interest balancing. Our founders considered, all that public safety stuff, and then they went ahead and wrote the Second Amendment the way they did. So individual rights trump perceived public safety, issues. So, change the hearts and minds where you can, and maybe get some people to become better self-protectors. But I don't have as many in my group as Mom's Demand does, but I have my little group and I have the Constitution, so I be all right.
Yep. I don't know how much longer you want to go on this, but I know it's been great talking with you. I'm going to give you as long as you want to talk about what's coming up in Missouri. Is there any bills that people need to be on the lookout for that you know of?
Sure. Yes.
Rally Day. And then, promote your channel. Let people know again, because we've had people come in and go out, kind of promote your channel and tell people what it's all about.
Sure. So as far as Missouri, yes, Wednesday there's rally day from 10 to noon. And then after that, it's, we start going floor to floor, visiting our legislators. A bill was perfected, the being able to carry on public transit. As good a state on guns as Missouri is, we're one of the few states, like before the Bruin decision, where New York and Hawaii started clamoring to ban carry on public transit. It was Missouri, New Mexico, and Illinois and DC that banned it. And so that just disgusts me, that good old gun rights Missouri has this gun-free zone on public transit. And so that will hopefully be brought to the House floor this week to be passed, third read and passed. And so I'll be posting about that and trying to get that vote going. If it's not happened by Wednesday, guarantee you that's going to be front and center what I'm making my little turn speaking about. The anti-red flag bills are out there. Those may take a few years, just like the Second Amendment Preservation Act did. It may take coming back, hammering, for that to go anywhere. I console myself with knowing that Missouri does not have a red flag at this time. And so we'll keep, pushing to make sure that doesn't happen, session after session. But at least for now, Missouri does not have a red flag. The other bill I've been pushing is Missouri, and with school shootings, I've been shaming them that this should be the time that it gets passed. School protection officers. Missouri already has the SPO program. Eligible candidates to become certified and trained as school protection officers is limited to teachers and administrators. And this bill, HB 70, expands that to other employees. So like your maintenance guy, the IT department, the cafeteria lady, if they are suitable candidates, they could be considered to go through the SPO program. So that has passed in the House. And I went up just last Wednesday and testified in support of it in the Senate. And I'm waiting. I did a sunshine request for the audio of that hearing. And when I get it, I'll be editing that and posting it on the channel. So here's where the channel comes in, Worthwhile Fun. Or you can find me with @SusanMyers_2A. We'll get you there. And on that channel, I post all those testimonies because I want people to be aware of the bills, to be aware of how easy it is to testify, and maybe consider doing it themselves. As far as firearms related bills in Missouri, that's about all I can think of. It's been kind of a quiet year. I was disappointed, what with Bruin passing. I thought that would give my Republican supermajority the backbone to go after getting rid of even more gun-free zones out of Missouri statute. But nope, it's like the New York State Rifle and Pistol Club, I'll say it that way for G-Webs, versus Bruin. Didn't do a thing for the Missouri legislators. I'm still fighting just to get carry on public transit, and that bill was amended to include churches for CCW holders. Right now, it's a convoluted process for people with CCW permits to actually have permission to carry in churches. And so we want to clean that up so that if you have a CCW permit, you can carry in the church unless they're posted as a gun-free zone. And I think that's about it for Missouri.
So, with in Missouri, the 30-06 signs, 30-07 signs, the, no firearm. Does that carry the weight of law, or?
It depends. If you have a permit, many of those, I think there's 17 restricted locations listed. Many of those, for permit holders, it's not a criminal offense. If they would happen to find out that you were carrying, you could be asked to leave. If you leave, end of story. If you refuse to leave and the police are called, then you have a trespassing charge that you'll be facing. But for those enjoying permitless carry, which is, sorry, G-Webs, that's what Missouri calls it, then it can be a Class B misdemeanor, up to, I think, an E felony, depending on the location, which really bothers me. And I've brought that out in testimony also, that permitless carriers are treated like second-class citizens in the state. So yeah, you got to be careful, and you gotta read the fine print in Missouri.
Yeah, because I know, like here in Oregon and in Washington, those signs don't carry the weight of law. I mean, you have certain places, of course, like hospitals and stuff, that falls under a different situation. But most of those, like if you walk into, say, Fred Meyer, and there's a sign that says no firearms, you can just keep going. Now, if somebody realizes you have a firearm, again, you can be asked to leave. And if you leave, so be it. And if you choose to, I'm not leaving, blah, 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 you're going to get trespassed. So
right.
knowing what your state laws are really helps. And
Yes.
so if nothing else, educate yourself on especially your firearm laws, because every state looks at different situations differently. Some states you can carry pepper spray, and that's not a problem. Other states it could be a problem.
Yeah, and you've just made me think it might be good for me to mention carrying in the state capitol in Missouri. If you're thinking about coming Wednesday with a CCW permit, you can carry in the state capitol. You'll need to have your driver's license and your permit out when you first come in, and then they'll get you through the metal detector and everything. And then it gets weird, because you can carry anywhere in the Capitol except in a hearing room. Like if you need to testify, you can get in the building, but you can't step through the threshold of that hearing room, because I guess you turn into a really dangerous person. And you can't carry in the viewing galleries of both the House and Senate. And so, if you're coming and just going to be for the rally and just going to be visiting the offices, you're good to go. If you're going to want to sit in and check out the beautiful chambers, then you're not supposed to carry in the viewing galleries of the House and Senate. And I've complained about that as well.
Now, do they offer lockers?
No.
Or anywhere that you could like check your firearm with like the Capitol Police, where they
Nope.
can hold the firearm while you testify?
Nope. I have testified before saying, that in order to be here exercising my first, I have to go lock up my second. It's nope. But I'm working on it. I'm putting the bug in their ear every opportunity I get. So.
Well, and again, that's great information for people that, who don't go to their state capitals. finding out that information, what is and what isn't allowed. Is your state capital 2A friendly, or is it not?
Or like
Ours,
Missouri, is it just it's a twisted combination, that can make it really difficult to figure out how to do your day and, still have a firearm on you when you have to walk back to the parking garage after dark. Really irks me. So
now, what about like the buddy situation? If, say, you and another woman are going to go testify, could one of you stay outside of the area and hold the other person's firearm while they go and testify, and then vice versa?
I'm trying to use my words carefully. If done in a very safe and private and not unholstering or brandishing or yes, technically, done properly, that could get it done.
Like if you two went into the restroom, out of sight, out of mind.
I don't want to say anymore.
Yeah.
leave me out of it. I got to go back in that building a whole bunch more this year. I'm not going to say anymore.
Yeah. Hypothetically. These are all hypotheticals, by the way. Yeah, and see, and this is the thing. When we want to pass information on to people, we also have to be careful on how we do it, because it can come back to bite us in our butt.
Yeah, I don't even want to think about it. And just to throw it out there again, permitless is not allowed in the Capitol at all. You have to have your permit. I mentioned the hip bag here a while back. I had swapped purses, and I'm hot-footing it, not wanting to be late to a hearing. And I go to dig out my ID and my permit, and I couldn't find it. And I was like all freaked out. And anyway, so yeah, you've got to have doesn't matter if you are a concealed carry permit holder, you have to have that permit on you to get in.
Yeah. Ozzy says Missouri is still better than Illinois.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He's talking about that when he finally gets to retire, he wants to move to Missouri.
Don't blame you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of better places than some places in this country. I love Oregon and Washington because we got great scenery. We've got mountains, we've got oceans, we've got desert, and all these different, great places. But then it's getting worse and worse for our ability to protect ourselves. And then when we lived in South Carolina, there just didn't seem like there was enough mountains, you hear the wife laughing.
Yeah.
So, we're used to seeing mountains all the time. And kind of as growing up out here, you start to learn to navigate by your mountains. And everything. Like, hey, I know I'm going north, or I know I'm going south based on a certain formation. And so you don't need a compass. But you get into the Midwest and you get into some places over on the East Coast, and you're like, wait a minute, everything kind of looks the same. So trying to get used to that kind of stuff can be hard. So before we get out of here, I want to thank you again for coming in,
So,
giving us all your information and everything. And I hope that you guys have a very large crowd. And again, like we said earlier, just because you don't reside in Missouri, if you're close enough and you have the ability to make it over there, they're not going to be able to tell if you live in Missouri or if you don't live in Missouri. But again, be respectful, Don't be out there, yelling and screaming things that are inappropriate, because you are there helping to represent not only the state of Missouri, but you're representing the 2A community.
Yep.
So
I totally appreciate you having me on. I love talking about the Second Amendment, and my guys get tired of hearing it. So, have some other guys to talk to about it works out really good for me. So I totally appreciate the invite.
Yeah, anytime you want to come on and, talk about anything upcoming or, hey, just talking about firearms or, whatever, we're more than willing to have you on here. A lot of times we have a panel, and it can get kind of wild.
Yeah, I've poked my head in. And sometimes I stay, and sometimes I'm out tonight.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
Yeah, because not always, can we just. Sometimes you just gotta relax and be like, you know what? Hey, let's just have fun,
Yep.
And we are very thankful you came on and talked about DC Project, A Woman with a Gun, and all the things that you do to help promote the 2A for women and for men. Hey, I'm going to throw it out there.
Yep.
We're glad that because the way I kind of look at DC is you guys are out there as a direct competition to Moms Demand Action. And if it was a bunch of guys standing there saying, oh, no, you're absolutely wrong, it's going to come across a whole lot different. And, people are going to be like, oh, look at these sexist people and blah, blah, blah. They're talking down.
Yep.
And so to have women out there promoting the 2A and being able to say, hey, us as mothers or us as grandmothers or us as single women, we have the ability and we have the rights to protect ourselves.
Yep. And if we fight and get our rights, and that means you guys get to enjoy the spoils of that, I guess I'm okay with that.
I think you guys are doing a fabulous job. And, I think that some of the days of old where it's the, let's go stereotypical, the fat old white guy, that's the face of the 2A. I think we're kind of losing that, and it's going to start going more women are coming out as the face of 2A and maybe able to push it a lot further than any of us old guys could have ever gotten it.
I have no problem with the old guys being the face of 2A. I mean, let's just all be there just be so many faces they don't even know where to start, But yeah, I have no problem, and I am wearing flannel right now. I'll just tell you so.
Yep. The more voices we have out promoting absolutely is going to be the better way of going about it. So I want to thank everybody who's been in and out of the side chat. Please check out Worthwhile's Funds page, Susan Myers, and subscribe. She can use help because as her channel grows, that's another way that can help kind of fund her going to the state capitol also. So we can always help other ways, So again, thanks everyone. And we're going to play the outro and we'll get out of here.
Thank you.